Yes, yes, yes. We are back for another engaging and dynamic open court discussion live in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Ow!
All right, now y'all hear the wolf. As far as the panel, it will be what it will be. So on tonight, Monday, October 7th at 9 p.m., the title of our discussion will be The Trust Factor. Join us as we explore the foundation of any strong relationship, trust. We will dive into the world of trust building, conflict resolution, and nurturing meaningful connections. We will investigate several key elements, such as the initial steps to building trust, nurturing trust, deepening trust, maintaining trust, red flags in trust, rebuilding trust after betrayal, key principles, and if time permitted, examples of trust building activities. This should be another outstanding dialogue that you don't want to miss. Please like and share our video. Don't forget to tell a family member to tell a family member to subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. We made some smaller gains by reaching, actually, we're at 919 now subscribers, 81 more to the monumental 1K. Come on, people, let's get at it. So here we are. I hope everybody had a peaceful, restful, and outstanding and safe weekend. And we're back Monday. Started a grind. So what's good? Big Bad Wolf.
I see y'all kind of like what Ron did. Me and him had a little chit chat. I guess I can't be too mad at him, but I told him, you know the rules. Don't be coming around messing up my furniture and things of that nature. But I'm gonna leave it for the time being. But other than that, I don't have too much to report on this end. The weight loss is going pretty good. I'm down to 260.6 pounds. 210 is the goal. That's about it, man. That is about it. Winter's coming. You see the pocket doors closed, so that means it's gotten cold in these parts.
Yeah, me. I kind of look forward to the fall time, and to me, that's the best time to dress. The fall time, because you don't. I mean, you don't. And it depends on where you at. You might not have to wear like a big heavy coat or anything like that, but it's a time to wear the sweaters, the button downs, khakis, some nice jeans. So kind of always look forward to the fall time. Yeah, but not the effects of it being getting darker early, and then when you wake up, it's still dark outside. Because when you see darkness, all you want to do is, hey, go back to sleep for another few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and then on the weekends you just never get enough sleep. But that's that. As far as my same old, busy as I don't know what at work, can't get a breather, and uh, just dealing with the craziness of the day to day grind. So that's pretty much it. I don't have anything to. Well, I got a funny story. Oh yeah, I posted it earlier, and that was funny to me. When I picked up one of my students, and we walk in, and she like, Mr. Glover, you swear you uh was it PT PT SO. She's like
SO, I think it
PTSO.
was.
She's like, you swear you PTSO? And I'm like, what? And she's like, you swear you be putting that shit on? And I'm like, like, wow, like why you say that? Like why you hating? And then she's like, nah, but I do like your New Balance, but I guess because I had some khakis on with like the print from Nautica, like the boats and the flags and stuff like that. So I guess that was a little bit too much for her. So I had to be putting that shit on. But I never even I guess I'm just getting old and never paid attention to that phrase. But I guess it's a phrase because the other morning I was going out to my car, going to work, and I just had on things black jeans, a yellow shirt. I had on my Pittsburgh Steelers colors, but
I was getting ready
I
to say you
stood
rocking
around.
Steeler colors.
Yes, and I had some white and yellow Nikes on with a like a black fisherman bucket hat. And one of the kids at the bus stop was like, "Dang man, you threw that shit on. You put that shit on." And I looked back like kind of like what? I just kept going, and then another day I heard another student say that. I say, "Oh, this just must be the end thing that they say," but it's so
Yeah,
funny. It's funny, 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 funny.
I do have one thing to add. If you finish, Dave,
Yeah, I'm done.
beginning to check out this. From the first half an hour that I got into it, I ended up having to switch off and do something else. It seems pretty good. My intent was actually go see it at the theater, and I just happened to stumble into our local library, which is actually apparently a pretty good place to get new releases from for no price. Who really knew? So you might want to check that out. I'll be back next week and let you know how good it is. I'll probably watch it after we get off of here. But that's about it though.
So what is it? I didn't see it. The title.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bob Marley's One Love.
Oh, okay.
I knew it was supposed to have come out in the theaters maybe about a month or so ago. So I don't think they got a pre-release. So for those of you who are interested, tune in next week and I'll let you know how good it was or is.
All right. Well, guess we can get down to the real nature of the business of the trust factor. So, what crosses your mind, Herb, when you even hear that title, the trust factor?
Ah, broken promises. I don't know why that tends to resonate with me so much. I think everything that we do as people, regardless of your gender, where you live, what you do, so much is predicated on a promise. And most of the promises that we run into, they're unspoken. Nobody sits down, they say, hey, I promise you I'm gonna do this. I give my word, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna give my word, I'll be here and this. None of that was spoken. We don't promise you guys that 9 o'clock every Monday night we gonna be here. Hell, we don't promise each other that. That's just one of the ways that our promise to do something isn't codified in the written language and the spoken language, is codified in our behavior. So often, what we do transcends what we say. They always say, the old adage, don't listen to what he says or don't listen to what she says. Watch what they do. Because in that particular way, you can see what an individual is about. I don't have to ask this person. I don't have to ask their mother or father, siblings. I can just sit back and watch. I can do that at work. I can do that on the street. I can do that in the grocery store. I can do that anywhere that I am. So when people talk about their people watching, that's what they're doing. They're looking to see how well people interact with each other. I do it. Matter of fact, I did it when I went to your sister's birthday party. I just sat back and just watched how everybody got along. Nobody didn't promise you that they were going to come there and not cut up. Nobody didn't promise that they were going to come there and bring a weapon. That was just an expectation that was had because of all the interactions that have been had over the years. You said, you know what? These people are cool. These people come here to have a good time. They're not coming here to bother anybody. They're coming in to throw a few back, and it's a good time had by everybody. That's the expectation. That's the unwritten promise that is never broken. But what happens when that is broken? You get some of what you get in these nightclubs. You get people shooting, stabbed, trampled, hurt. That's the one of the things that's the first thing that comes to my mind. Is a broken promise.
And that kind of ties along when we, when I look at, some of the notes that I gathered, and one of the first things is the initial steps when you start forming trusting relationships. One of the first things is being reliable and follow through on commitments. I mean, if you have no follow through and you're not reliable, where's the trust? It's always going to be some uneasiness. Um, it would be like somebody saying, "Damn, uh, you know, my car is broke down. Can I, you hate to rely on people, but can I rely on you to get a ride?" And you know that person may be sketchy, uh, as far as their attendance or whatever the case is, but you you want to be able to um, have comfort or a peace of mind to know, like, that person's solid. They're gonna come through. They're gonna uh they're gonna
Mhm.
pull up. But anytime it's a situation that you feel uneasy about, it's always gonna be it's always gonna be a problem. And as I think about, as I'm talking right now, stuff always pop up in my mind, even take me back to when I was younger. And I could think about the time, I like taking y'all back to, visualizing stories when it was, 17 years old. No, I might have turned 18 at the time. Senior. I didn't have my license at the time, and which, I could should have controlled my own fate and had that, because my grandmother, my granddad, they was pushing me to make sure I get my license, because he always said that he was going to, get me a car. And but I
Oh,
didn't really have no, I guess, sense of urgency to do so. Instead of thinking like, damn, I could be pulling up with a whip at school. Uh, but needless to say, I didn't follow through with that. And it was class day, and one of my buddies was supposed to come pick
ah,
me up. And I'm suited up, ready to go. And I don't know, my mother, I don't think she had a car at that time. So I'm, waiting, and I'm pacing back and forth, and I call his house, he don't answer. But what I didn't know, the night before, he must got into it. I'm gonna say little. It wasn't major, but a car accident. But he didn't call me to let me know, like, I'm not gonna be able to come get you. So now I'm sitting there like, stressed the hell out. Like, I don't want to have to call my grandfather, call my aunts, and get dropped off on class day. Like, that would have just threw me all off, because you're supposed to be in the car with your friends, going around honking horns, yelling out your graduate year of your school. But I guess everybody, got there early. And then when our other friends was like, "Yo, where David at?" And then which led my friend to say, well, Igor, he's been on here before, to say, "Oh shit," like, because his car must have been in a fender bender. So actually, at the time, his girlfriend had, I guess, she came and got him. So the one guy, he ended up like, "Yo, where he at?" He was like, "Damn, where he at?" So all of a sudden, the other guy, shout out to Aaron Drake, they end up pulling up and coming to get me. And everything went smooth after that. I guess I'm just saying this to be saying, when you're in that position and you're kind of relying on somebody and they don't come through, it's a horrible feeling, and it kind of breaks down trust. Not that I didn't trust. I knew Igor would have came through if the car was his car was situated. But I guess the follow through and not telling me. But then again, we didn't have cell phones and pagers and different stuff at that time. So I mean, if you jump in the car, the only other thing you could do is pull up and stop at a payphone to call someone, because we didn't really, no one really had cell phones in their cars. And I mean, maybe later, I don't know what year those big ass phones that came out that people had.
About that, I was gonna say about the mid to late '80s. Yeah, those they were expensive as hell, though, man. That's why only businessmen had them.
So that was one of the times when you think about trusting the situation and hoping that someone's going to be reliable. But sometimes you gotta, be in a position for yourself to say, hey, no matter what happens, I'm going to be good regardless. But again, and that wasn't a broken promise. It was just, things happen that was out of control. But when you're on the other end of that, it's a horrible feeling when you don't have no control. And some people in relationships, they feel like they don't have no control. They don't know. Is he gonna come home tonight? Is he gonna make it home for dinner? Well, he promised
Mhm.
me this weekend that he's off, that we're gonna spend the weekend together. Should I get ready? Should I get excited about it? He might let me. All of that plays into trust. All right, let me get off the soapbox now.
And the funny thing about it is, there's this guy I've been following on YouTube. His name is Chris Williamsons, and That's how I kind of stumbled into this because I have now I probably have about 30, between 30 and 40, 30 and 40, 30 and 40 various talking points, and sometimes it's just how something just pops up that diverts me from one to the other, and that's what this was. So I'm also following a page called A Conscious Rethink, and it lists 15 subtle signs a friend is a positive influence in your life. So I'll start with just one of the things that they have, and we can go from there. They help you see your own potential. What potential does an individual have that somebody can help you see? And this is where we get into being honesty and some people. Hey BGS, shout out, man. This is where people can get into to help you see things about yourself that you don't see. When an individual is honest with you, whether you like what they say or not, you tend to rely on them for input into things you might consider, a direction you might go, or something that you might want to do. We're always bouncing ideas off of people for feedback. And even if we don't like someone, more than likely, because you don't like them, because they sometimes it's just an element of truth. They'll say, "Well, I don't like his tone." Matter of fact, Kevin Samuels, he is larger in passing than he's been in his life. People now, they trust the content more now than they ever have. You hear some of everybody using his clips, and I hope he's getting some residuals, or his peoples are getting some residuals off of that. They're using his clips, they're using Black Manosphere talking points, and they're using his talking points. Now, some people are jaded about that. Personally, I don't give a damn one way or the other. But the thing about that is, a lot of people now, they're sitting back and they're looking back in retrospect to the things that was said And he spoke about it and they're saying, you know what? He was right. You see the rise, and this is something we'll probably talk about in the future. You see the rise of all these red pill female content creators who are echoing what he said. And there were some people who were doing that before. Shout out to Crimson Cure. She was doing that. She comes from the BGS tree. There are a lot of people who are putting the truth out there, who are giving women good feedback. It doesn't necessarily have to be positive or negative. It's just good feedback into where they are and to how to get to where they want. Same thing with your book. I asked you about it when I know I need to get my I need to get my shit done. But it's something as simple as that. Feedback on the book, feedback on the ideal, feedback on the design, feedback on whether I should purchase this car or whether I should do this. Matter of fact, I've gotten so much feedback on the couch leaning up against the wall. Do I trust people and to believe that if I take it down and look better, be more appealing? I don't know. Ron went ahead and decided to do what he did, and I'm like, you know what? It kind of works. The cats don't mind if they run over there and sleep on occasion. I got one sleeping up here, and I got this little sucker sitting right here, want attention. He's just like a woman. So, I mean, all those things, man. So you don't know where your source of inspiration, your backing is going to come from.
Yeah, so that was one of the things too. Communicate openly and honestly. And I mean, I guess if you have a fear of communicating, then that's a problem in itself. Again, sometimes people feed people with a wooden spoon, and that may be their approach. Like, I'm not going to give them too much to digest at one time. Some people believe in putting everything out there uh, right at the beginning. And, so I guess it varies how you communicate and how open you are to the way that you go about it. Because, again, an initial part of building trust and relationships, you still trying to know your personnel and know who you're dealing with. And in that case, people know when they know who they're dealing with, they go about things in a different way. They may strategize and say, "Oh, I gotta hit this person with this approach, or I gotta they can't handle this, so I gotta attack it from this way." So it's all about you know trusting yourself and trusting that individual and how you put out information. But you know, open and honest communications always go be a key factor, and people just go about it in different ways.
Yep. Another thing that that helps us develop kinships with people is something I found. They gave a list. I think it was like 15. So I'm just 15. I'm just gonna pick up a couple of these. Number two, and this is something we talk about here. They stick by you during bad times. Now, bad times for a lot of people can mean a lot of different things. Financial, the excuse me, the passing of somebody, an untimely death, a health crisis, a number of things. You just mentioned that the class day situation. We don't know what is necessarily going to come down the pipe, and this is something that men are always, being charged with. Is y'all don't have a good social network, so if something happens, y'all fall apart because you guys have no one to turn to. And this is my whole thing against quote unquote therapy for men. Talking is good. I'm never going to deny that. But for men, that's only a very small snippet of what a man needs to do to actually show that he's improving or dealing with any situation effectively. He's got to get out there and produce above all, because if he isn't, society is not going to wait for him to do it. Society is just going to move on by him. You out of a job and you got two mouths to feed and your wife's nagging you. She's not going to tell you to go to therapy. She's going to tell you, hey, pound the concrete, go find a job. I need to eat. Little Junior needs to eat. Little Becky needs some new shoes or braces. Now, she might stick with you for a little bit, but after a while, she's going to be shopping. She's going to be looking for your next replacement. So all those things, they align themselves to say, can I trust this individual to be with me? Can I trust this individual to stand by my side when things get real bad? They hit rock bottom. I have only 2 pennies to rub together. The mortgage is late. It's not due. It's late. We're 2 months behind. I'm getting a shut off for the electric. The gas man is outside turning the wrench down. How we going to eat? How we going to cook? How we going to stay warm? This is the middle of October, and I have no job prospects. It's rough sometimes. It's rough.
And I'm going to go back to show genuine interest and listen actively. Got a lot of people that talk, but no, a lot of people just don't listen. It's a two parts to communication. And when you always want to show that you're interested in whoever it may be. It could be a friend. It could be someone you're intimate with, coworker, a family. It shouldn't be one-sided. If other people, if you're in relations with someone and they have something they're going through or excited about, you need to have that same energy as they would give to you, and be an active listener. And I think that's the problem, because people, we often say that. I think the great Stephen Covey uh, should say it: listen to understand instead of listening to reply. Some people, they don't hear shit you got to say because they can't wait to reply.
Mm-hmm.
So they miss everything you said. And you'll know that when down the road, when you say, remember we had this conversation, and you may give details. It was the day that this happened. I came home and I said this. Uh, you don't remember that? Nah. You know why? Probably because they was listening to reply and never took anything in. But they may swear up and down, you never said it. I don't know what you're talking about, but you know what you had on, you know what time it was, you know where y'all was sitting. Uh, so you got to show genuine interest in others, and be an active listener. And it's not easy being an active listener, because a lot of times people are always trying to multitask, do different things, and they might say, "I'm listening, babe. I'm listening." But are they really listening when they're doing 2 or 3 things at a time, especially if it's something that you're excited about, or you may not be excited, something that may be bothering you? So that's just something else that helps with the trust process. BG said, it's, if that's the case, then you are alone. I mean, you can't look at it like that. I mean, and a lot of times people have someone, but they're really alone because they don't
Yeah,
get that. They don't get
yeah.
that component in a relationship. But I don't know. I guess it's a warm body, but is the body really warm, or is it cold when you're next to it?
They call them loveless marriages, and there's a whole lot. Forget sexless. I mean, sexless is one thing. You can always get that need met, and I suppose this is what a lot of people they're coming at red pill content creators for, is men are wishing this, and this is something BGS also talks about too, is having that need to be loved met. Sometimes it's not going to be available. So what do you do if you're, especially if you're a man? Because women always seem, it's like this the joke that Chris Rock's make. There are only three things that are loved unconditionally. I think it's three: women, children, and dogs. I think they're loved unconditionally. So it's tough out there. Yeah, that seems to be the consistency, which is why I always talk about never being happy. And when people hear that, they think I'm some Debbie Downer. I'm like, no, I look for contentment in life. That's my quote unquote happiness. I'm content with having, you know, Paul is seeking a lot of attention, but I'm content with what I have. I'm content with my ability to earn. I'm content with things that are going in my life. I'm content with things are right now. But that's because I have people who are in my corner. They'll say, hey, look, man, you gonna get there. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're always heading in the right direction. You're never stepping backwards. You're never reverting. Keep doing. Keep doing. Because there's a lot of people who wish they could do what you're doing. They wish they had your health. They wish they had this. They wish they had that. And sometimes it takes that individual to paint a good picture so we can see what others don't see. Because I could always be worse off. I mean, I could be far worse, you know. So that balance is always necessary, especially for men, especially for black men too, as we get older. Because it seems as we get older, we become disassociated with our family. Is something that you always point out, Dave. You manage, your family manages as well as mine does, to always stick together, to even come together more so when there's a time of tragedy. And that really is the epitome of trust, that we're gonna be there when we need to be there for each other. We're gonna hold each other accountable. So if something happens to one of us, that person don't fall. We're gonna be there, we're gonna support.
And that's true. I mean, you gotta find times to come together. You gotta make the most of it. It can't be again, like we always say, funerals, tragic times. It gotta be a matter of, listen, this is what we're gonna do. 2 or 3 months from now, we're gonna plan this. If everything goes planned, everybody's still healthy, and uh we're gonna come together. And I think it should be more opportunities like that. Again, as we get older, life is short. You can't wait. I think waiting like, oh, we'll see you again next year this time. That's just too long. It's just too long to wait. And you can make it convenient. In this day and age, you can brainstorm and come up with many ways to come together in a neutral site. And whether you're carpooling and all of that stuff, it can happen. And it could be the least expensive thing. You just gotta brainstorm. You gotta be creative, and you gotta realize the time is now. That you can't wait for next year's family reunion and things. You gotta have, because sometimes those little events give people life and give them something to live for and to push forward to. When shoot, if you down and out, you down and out. That becomes something like repetitive throughout. You go through those feelings, but sometimes when you come together with people that love you and you have a good time, it makes you kind of thrive for more of it and gives you that positive energy, which don't necessarily tie with the next point, but what I had down: respect boundaries and personal space. So that's important with trust too. Respecting boundaries and people's personal space. Some of y'all are so damn intrusive, and always in somebody's business, up in their space. Yo, you gotta back up. If you need to do all that to secure your thoughts about a person, then that seemed like you headed for disaster to begin with. When you can't respect nobody boundaries in their personal space, everybody need time for themselves. Everybody need their own space. So allow people to have that. You give people that grace. You give people to have that time to have their space. And if y'all well connected, once they get their time, they're gonna come back to you. They're gonna come back to you. Uh, but you gotta allow that person to have that time. Everybody needs it. So something to think about, folks.
Yep, and it's funny. And David hasn't seen this list. And number 8 on here is you feel energized and uplifted after spending time with them. And I'll continue to read what it says. These friends act like personal energy boosters. After spending time with them, you feel revitalized, motivated, and ready to take on the world. It's not that they avoid serious or sometimes difficult conversations. Rather, their presence and interaction style leaves you feeling supported and inspired. This energizing effect isn't about superficial positivity, but about genuine connection and mutual growth. Even when discussing challenges, you come away feeling more capable of facing it. And that's that support and that's that balance. And to further what David said, I always talk about people. Hey, look, sometimes when you get something, you need to keep your mouth closed. And what did you post, David, on that one clip? You talk too much. Shut the fuck up.
No Friday foolishness. Yeah.
Yeah, I was cracking up when I saw that because I'm just like, look, some people just don't know when to keep a good thing to yourself. And people say, well, what's the use in keeping something good that happens to yourself? Because sometimes some people think you're bragging. Why? Because they don't have it. And you ask them, well, what are you doing? Well, I ain't been feeling good. I've been down and I've been depressed. Depressed about what? Oh, because I ain't got the money. Well, are you working? No, All right, look here. I'm going to do this for you. Go see this person. I know they're looking for part-time help. It's not a whole lot. The pay ain't great, but it's going to get you somewhere. It's a start. And then they say, well, I ain't got the clothes for the interview. I don't want to do this. And it's just like every time you turn around, you try and do something for them, or you try and do something with them. They letting you down. You tell them, look, come through. You ain't got to bring nothing. We got food. We got drink. The fight zone. There's gonna be some shorties there. I know. Since you broke up with your girl, you ain't been feeling right, man. Come through, man. Just hang out. Nah, man. I don't feel like it. I ain't got this. And just like, I can't help you if you don't help yourself. Yeah, man. Talking. I can't help you if you don't help yourself. So they leave you frustrated. And then all of a sudden you start to withdraw from them. And then they'll ask you, well, I ain't spoke to you in about 3 or 4 days. What's wrong? You say, ain't nothing wrong, man. Look, I've just been busy, man. Every time I try and connect with you, you shoot me down. I don't know how to help you anymore. I offered you to come through. I want to take you here. I want to do this, but you're just saying no. So that becomes one of the things I talk about was a broken trust. It's an unwritten rule that a lot of people have. Look, I'm gonna be there for you, but in order for me to be there for you, you have to be willing to accept some things about the situation and when I'm trying to help you, and accept that help, even though you may not feel like it. Like today, I went for a 20-minute jog. I didn't do it all at once. I'll be honest with you. There was some times I walked, ran down to the falls, which is probably about a mile from my house. Walked around inside the park, inside the park by Terrapin Point. And they're doing construction, messing that up, state of New York. And then back home, I was like, okay, I'm tired as hell. My knee hurts, but I got through it. Sat down, wanted to do some work for the show, and I was like, you know what? I ain't got it in me to do. Let me hop in this shower, get to sleep. Now I was sleeping so damn well when the alarm went off, and I'm in the middle of a dream cycle, and I'm asking, what the hell is going on? And then I looked up. I said, do I have to go to work tonight? Oh no, it's Monday. I got the show to do. And that's how sometimes that's just how my life goes. But I'm like, all right, let me get up, let me throw some hot chocolate on. And the show, it gives me energy. It reinvigorates me because I know Dave's gonna be here. I'm gonna get the link. I'm gonna settle in and hey, we're gonna be here for an hour and a half, 2 hours, chopping it up. And it's always a good thing. But that goes back to that trust factor of being where we always have been, doing what we always do.
And some of y'all may look at and say, "Oh, it's really nobody watching it." But when you clip it and you put it different places, you'll be surprised, like the views and stuff that you get when it's just snippets of the broadcast. And sometimes I know we have a short attention span nowadays, so people only can take little dosages of stuff in 15 seconds, 30 seconds, or a minute. Uh, and unfortunately, that's the way of the world, and that's how things are. Like people constantly, I guess, multitasking, and and which was funny today. See, I get a kick out of these middle school kids. They just say anything out their mouth. Now, so young ladies come see me in the morning, like first thing in the morning. I'm like, we ain't got nothing to talk about this early. And I'm kind of listening to what she's saying, but she asked, could I write her a pass? So I'm writing it, and it was something else going on. And then she's like, dang, Mr. Glover, you can't multitask? Excuse me? Excuse me? uh, like, yeah, I can. I can multitask. But I'm trying to figure out what it was. Another lady who I was writing a pass for had stepped outside my door, so I couldn't finish the pass because I needed to know where she was going. But the other one was like, "Dang, Mr. Glover, you slow? Can't you? You don't know how to multitask?" And I could have got her good and pulled up her grades and said, "You show me where you've been multitasking. Too much social and not performing." But I just let her have it. Plus I think it was too early. It was I hadn't got heated up yet. It was early Monday, today Monday, probably like 8:30, 8:35, 8:40. So she coming for me. But all of that, and it's important to be able to do that. I don't even know where I'm going with this point. So I'm just go jump to demonstrating empathy and understanding. And I think a lot of people don't understand empathy and sympathy and understanding of what people go through. So when you think of empathy, it's feeling with someone. You feel what they're going through. You may have been with it. You feel their pain. Sympathy is when you feel sorry for someone, and so a lot of times people use those words like, "Oh, I got sympathy for that person." Most people don't want you to have sympathy for them. They want you to have empathy. They want you to
Mhm.
understand what they're going through. They don't want you to feel sorry. Then again, I can't say that because some people do want sympathy. They want you to feel sorry for them because they feel sorry for themselves. Eh, it's just a whole mess. But people with the right emotional intelligence, they want for you to understand. And again, I guess to understand is a part of the listening, the empathetic listening, to kind of pick up on cues and validate in people feelings. And I always tell folks, anytime you're talking and you throw in that conjunction but, that
Mm,
nullifies everything that you said in front of that, no matter what. If you think about it, if you say, you know, I apologize, I had a rough day, but I'm really sorry, babe. I love you, and I was just on one. I was in a different place, and you know, he may say, or she may say, okay, all right, I'm feeling. Then you say, but
mm.
also the reason that kills it all. And I know that's a natural thing to say, but you got to remove that out of your vocabulary, because if people conscious of it, it's like, okay, you said all that, but then you say, but now it seems like you're going back to making excuses. So just keep that in mind, that but clause. And a lot of times people say, but greatest example is with kids. They'll say something in a minute. Well, this and that, and it, but hold on with the but part, whatever, because
Mhm.
that kind of nullifies everything you said before. That person could be accepting, but then once you throw but in there, now they looking at you side eyed. Like, here we go with this again. Just something for you to think about.
Yeah, I would have been on time, but I would have did this, but I was going to do this, but are you just a but person, no pun intended, or you just making excuses because you don't want to do something? And I'll follow up with what David was saying with point number 10 that they had on this 15-point list. They help you maintain a healthy perspective on life. Life sometimes can feel like a roller coaster with its ups and downs, often skewing our perspective. A positive influence acts like a stabilizing force, helping you to maintain a balanced outlook. These friends remind you of the bigger picture when you're fixated on small setbacks. I know we've been talking about friendships for the first 40 some odd minutes. We will get to how this translates into work relationships and romantic relationships. Stay tuned. These friends remind you to see the bigger picture when you're feeling small setbacks. They help you find silver linings in difficult situations without dismissing your feelings. When you're riding high in success, they keep you grounded and humble. Now, some people may ask, when I'm feeling great, euphoric, why do I want somebody to help keep me grounded? There's a very good reason. Because when you're feeling low, they gonna bring you back up. This is why I always use contentment as opposed to happy, because there are days when I don't have it. Matter of fact, I will say this. Probably going, I'll say before March, maybe April, I was in a funk. I was in a whole personal funk. Weight had ballooned up. I really didn't feel like doing anything. The only thing I actually did consistently was go to work, fed the cats. I would come home, eat, go to sleep, eat, go to sleep. I did that for months on end. That's one of the reasons why my weight got to where it was. And then things just started kind of falling into place. I know I started on the book, and I kind of got energized doing the book because I saw something, that started as an ideal, and it started as an ideal, you know, in part due to the podcast. We were talking about relationships, and I mentioned, you know, the 100 things, and they said, man, look, you need to go ahead and get busy with that book. Put that put that down, man, and start getting that into print so we can use it on the platform to talk about it. And then I started kind of feeling invigorated. I kind of started to say, okay, you know what? I need to get out of this funk that I'm in. And the only way I'm going to be able to do that is to get up and get my ass moving. So now, no matter what, whether I'm tired or I'm not feeling quote unquote with it, I'm going to get up and get my day going. Now, lately, I've been going to sleep, getting home from work a little later than normal. Usually I go to sleep about 9 o'clock. Now it's 9:30, 10 o'clock, and people will say, well, that's not bad. For me, it is because I only get about 5, maybe 6 hours of sleep a day if I'm lucky. So it kind of impacts me, and I'm kind of lethargic and I'm not mentally sharp. So I got to make sure to force my behind to go to sleep because I'm always going to wake up between 12 and 1. And that's generally when I get up, get a couple things going. And now that the weather is kind of holding out there, I can get at least a half an hour, 40-minute workout. And now I'll go to Abbott, which is about a mile from here, and I'll put up baskets. I'll make about 50 baskets. Now, 50 baskets to the average person that shoots shots, that's not a whole lot. And I'll agree with you. But I'm putting them shots up with my offhand. So I'm practicing shooting with my left hand, and I'll shoot from 5 different spots on the court, probably about 10 feet from the rim. Nothing great. But I have a rule. If I miss, that ball can't hit the ground more than 2 times before I get the rebound. That's my workout comes in because now I'm running down rebounds, going back, putting them shots up. And sometimes it'll take me about 40 minutes to knock down 50 shots.
I can't wait till one day I pull up and see you that will block the hell out your shit. Get that shit out of here.
I'm out there, man. And it's funny. I remember this is probably last summer, something before last. Somebody had actually took a snapshot of me out there putting up baskets. They put it in the ITT group. And they said, "Is that you?" I said, "Yeah." And I said, "That's me out there shooting." So I tell people, even my man who's going to do the album artwork from where his office is, he can see the court. So he asked me about it. I said, "Yeah, I'm out there, pretty much every day. Sometimes I'm out there putting up baskets. Sometimes I'm just running the track 15, 20 minutes. Or sometimes I'm out there rollerblading." So I always tell people, I like to do a lot of different activities. I don't try and regiment myself to just one thing because it breaks up the monotony of having the exercise. Because once you get into it, then the exercise itself is just something to do. And I'm always looking for something to do. And I like to be outside because it gives me the fresh air. It allows me to process my thoughts more clearly. So when I come back home, I'm goal oriented. I'm focused. The quote unquote problems that I may have had, all of a sudden now I get perspective on those problems. I say, okay, what do I need to do? What's today? I got any deadlines I need to meet? And then I start to get on task, start to get things completed. And then all of a sudden I said, you know what? Like Ice Cube said on the song, today was a good day. Today was a good day. I got this done. I did this. Matter of fact, for the last week, I've been rearranging my attic because eventually my long-term goal is to take what I'm doing here and transition it up into my attic. So I got to get some work done there. And I'm waiting on some programs to come through. And I'm going to have my library up there, storage space, studio. And then I'm going to have my keyboard and guitar up there. And hopefully I get to a point where I'm proficient at playing those. Those are all long-term goals. Those are all things that I want to do. So I'm content with things are going. I'm content where my life is. And that's how I can keep that unwritten promise that I talked about of being here Monday nights at 9 o'clock. Because this is a part of that whole process. People will see the transformation. They'll say, you know what? He went from having a couch leaning on the wall to having a studio similar to what Dave has. That's one of the things I'm like, I got to get my shit like Dave's. I got to have my studio set up, man, so it looked presentable. Because me, I'm kind of the person, I'm just like, look, I'm here. The background's just the background. It's chatter. I'm the draw. Go
Listen,
ahead, Dave.
it may look good the back in the words of my mother when she come down here. I don't know if this is a gym, a hat shop, a sneaker shop, a library with books. I don't know what this is. It's a lot going on. It's a lot going on, but that just shows everything. Everything that I'm passionate about is down here in the counselor's corner.
Yeah.
It's the hats. It's a boxing setup. Got books, sneaker game. Uh, hey, I mean, and then in the background, like posters of my books and other little quotes and different things. That's what it's all about. Just branding yourself and being who you are, and I think that's part of the big equation too when you think about having trusting relationships and you think about consistency and follow up. People get to know who you are. And we
Mhm.
always talk about KYP, know your personnel. And a lot of times you have to study people. That's the problem. Y'all don't study people. Y'all don't study individuals and watch their movements and watch what they do. When you start studying people, you're like, I got them. Like, not in a way that you're trying to take them out or anything, but just in a way that, yeah, this is predictable. I understand what they're going through. This is what they um, normally do. When you do that, you have better results for yourself because you already know. You already know what you're dealing with. When you don't study individual and whatever relationship you have with them, uh, then you're always going to deal with heartache and pain at the end because you have no idea uh, what was going to hit you. So you got to study your opposition. And I shouldn't say that because that word. Oh, you the op, you the op, Mr. Glove, you the op. I guess I'm the op there. I guess I'm the op. You a rat. I guess I'm the bill. Call me Ratatouille then, because so all of those things I counter with, but you have to you have to study folks. That's it. This game planning. It's
Yeah,
planning.
yeah, yeah.
Simple as that. Boy, I tell you, and that's why I say the importance of not only Herb got to complete his book, but I've been talking about middle school madness for years because, again, y'all don't even understand that an adulthood runs a lot of parallels with middle school kids. Uh, some of the things that they say is tied in. And I always remember people when I went into educational counseling, they said the rawest form of counseling you ever get is in middle school
Oh,
because they're in between whatever. High school is about what you're gonna do next, your career, uh, the direction you're headed. The elementary kids still babies. They, uh, until they get in their third or fourth, the major. Major grades, primary grades, but the rawest form is middle school because now they're in between because the the way that they think can shape the way their high school career goes. Uh,
yeah,
so they have a lot of unknowns, questions, or the way that they demonstrate. It's amazing when you work with them in middle school and then they come back to see you in high school and they say, and you look at them like, damn, that's you. Like, man, remember Mr.
yeah,
Glover? I used to get in trouble all the time. Like, no, I don't do that now, man. I remember some of the stuff you were saying and all that stuff, whatever. I go to class, I do that. Actually, I got a couple scholarship college offers. You're like, wow, wow, all of the stuff is magic. So it's important, but it's a lot of parallels to some of the things, especially when it relationship wise. It blows my mind to talk to 12-year-olds about relationships and the things that they say. I'm just gonna give y'all a little snippet of what the conversation I had with the girl the other day, young lady. She was telling me that one of her friends told her that like your boyfriend was just out hugging on another girl
Shit.
in the hallway. So, and she must have told her like it wasn't a side hug, it was a full hug. So this girl pissed. She laying on my bean bag, just pissed. And shout out to my school, whatever, to be able to have all this stuff that I didn't have at the ring, that they could come in and crash, like lay down on a bean bag and just be comfortable. And she was like, "Man, you just don't know, Mr. Glover." And I'm like, "Okay." I said, "So let's consider the source who told you. You know she exaggerate, right?" She's like, "Yeah, but other people said it." So what it came down to is, and I said a lot of parallels. She was claiming him without him ever giving a commitment. So as I had further questioning, like, yeah, not really together. He never said anything. I said, so have you ever told him that how it makes you feel when he gives somebody a full hug compared to a side hug? And she's like, no. Then I said, well, let me ask you this. How long have y'all been talking? And she was like, 2 weeks. And I would say, oh, shit. like,
You done had the wedding, the marriage, the kids, the
Yeah.
whole thing planned out in
Yeah.
her head.
Prime example how last week we was talking, Anita went all the way to having babies, and we was talking about the initial stage of relationships. And then I was like, damn, I was curious. I was like, what's his name? I want to see what he looked like. I said, I just that name because he's in the 8th grade. So she gave me the she was like, well, I don't I said, what's his last name? I don't know. Huh? Huh? And I wanted
Wow.
to immediately go to clown her like sweetheart. That is not your boyfriend. Let's start step by step, whatever. And see, and I and we might be joking and being facetious right now, but I think that might be the problem because we don't teach kids how to date or
Yeah.
whatever that
Oh, yeah.
social aspect. So they do
Yeah.
shit on their own time and they don't know. They don't know. Not saying any of us are experts, but she was totally clueless. And I said, and they had the next day off, which was, I think, was Thursday. I said, you know what you need to do? I said, when y'all had a day off, when we up in here and you get your phone back, you need to start building communication with this person to see where y'all really stand because y'all she's like, well, I, the vibes I got made me kind of claim him, but we never made it official. Don't do that not sound familiar with adults? Does that not sound familiar? And she was like, so I said, well, no, that's because if y'all never said it's official, then who are you to say he can't give nobody a full hug or whatever the case is? Because she was like, well, he got a whole girlfriend, but y'all never talked about that. Yeah, there's a lot of communication y'all got to have in place. Now, mind you, many of you listening or you listen to it later, and if I do the clip of this, you may say, well, why are you talking to them about relationships? Shouldn't you be steering them towards their grades? Yeah, that conversation always come in place. But let's not forget, they're humans.
Yeah.
That's a part of the process too. Interaction with other people and their peers. So you give it to them age appropriately, and you
Right.
have these conversations. Everything, and I keep telling you, and I always say, 50% academics, 50% social. You got to have somebody that's going to be able to have these conversations with them. Because other than that, she clueless. Because you know what? Most parents will say, uh, you ain't got no boyfriend. You don't talk to nobody. So, but they're gonna sneak and still have their own conversations because remember, they still have the cell phones, the tablets, and all that stuff that they communicate with. So it's a lot going on. Peace, Omega. Thanks for joining us. Greg said, kind of like me claiming a Buffalo fan from Niagara Falls as a friend. Maybe I should be advising him towards a better team. Yeah. The
He's a
power of
Browns
those,
fan.
yeah. Oh, yeah. The
Yeah.
power of those relationships and conversations is priceless. And like I said, a lot of it runs parallels to adult relationships. It sounds quite similar. And boy, those I get a kick out of those. And to the point that they try not for me to find out who the guy is. I said, you know, I'm gonna find out. You already know. And then they'll eventually tell me because they're like, yeah, he'll probably find out. Somebody's gonna tell him something. But it's those dynamics. But that's building trust too. So that's
Yep.
building trust. Knowledge builds trust.
Yep. And I'm going to follow right along with what David said with the transition from friendship to romantic. All right, pay attention. Number 11 on the list of 15. You're not afraid to share your vulnerabilities with them. What is the number one thing that women say about men? They're afraid to be vulnerable with them. Well, what does that really look like? Does it look like he don't want to tell you who his favorite sports team is, what his childhood memories were that hurt him, how the last person he was with betrayed him? Do all those things sound familiar when women are dealing with men? Now let's flip the coin. What's happening with David and these females is they're developing a pattern of attraction and, more importantly, behavior. We all, I don't care who we all have a phenotype that we're attracted to, whether it's she's tall, she's voluptuous, she's got those 3 rounds, he's got those broad shoulders, he's got that goatee, he's got that bald head, he wears those glasses, he wears those hats. I just like his drip. That's what they call it now. Or he just PTSO. There's something about this individual that I like. And those are the foundations that we build on when we start to hit puberty that carries us on through adulthood. The problem is this: some of those things that we fixate on are not conducive to good relationships. This is why when people get out of high school and they've never been challenged on the things that they've always pursued in the other mate, and I'm speaking heterosexual, just want people to understand that. It's the only realm I can deal in. They keep saying, you know what? I always strike out. I always pick the guy or always pick the girl that does me wrong. I sit up here and I share with them the things that I don't like, the things that I want, and I never get any reciprocation. I never get the reciprocity. And they wonder why. You know why? Because the situation that David just described about this female, some people never break. So you continue to do the things that you did when you were 11, 12, 13, 14, on up and through your late teens into your early 20s. And then you wonder why you still haven't found success in a relationship. Now, I'm not here to say what success looks like in a relationship. Some people say it looks like marriage and children. Some people say it looks like a person that I could spend time with and I don't have to worry about X, Y, and Z or M, N, and O. That's not for me to decide. That's not for you to the listener to decide. But, and I stress but, and I know what David has said about but. You gotta break those toxic patterns that keep you from succeeding. I've often talked about on this platform, and David and I are vulnerable. If you go back and listen to the content that we put out for the last 7, 8, Dave, 10 years, we've talked about ourselves in certain situations. So I'm going to mention the 6 years that I went cold contact with women. No dating, no sex, no nothing. And I know people find, no. I know you didn't do that. You ain't did nothing like that. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. I'm here to give you the information. All I will say is you have never heard me talk about the problems I have dating. Whether I'm doing it now, and I know I was, Ron was covering for me, big up Ron, while I was out doing some research. That's what we'll call it. But there's a particular reason why, because I sat down at 29, 30, and I had to assess what it was that I was dealing with in terms of females. And more importantly, why I was dealing with them. And then I had an epiphany. I said I was chasing after women who needed to be fixed. And I was trying to play Clark Kent. And every time I went into that telephone booth, I came out looking like a jacked up version of Clark Kent. I couldn't fly. I couldn't save these women from themselves. So I said, hey, you know what? It's time to put that, as Sugar Hill Gang called it, that sucker in a blue and red suit. It's time to put him to bed. I don't need to play Superman anymore. I need to find a female that has her shit together, that's on the path of righteousness. And for me, that means she has to have at least what I have. That means she's working. Either she owns her home or she's secure in the place that she has, meaning that she has no trouble meeting her basic responses. I'm not doing that. You got to take me out here. You got to. Fuck, I look like. But I had to break this. but I had to break those patterns. So now, when I step through the door, I take some hints from Ron C. I'll put it all on the table. Look, I don't have a car. I can meet you at the date, but if I do, we're going 50-50. If you come pick me up, hey, I might put some gas in your car. Hey, I might even open the door for you.
But you got to pump it, right?
No, we on the date, I'll pump it. I'll pump and pay.
Oh, okay.
I'll pump and pay. And I'm going to pay for the date. No strings attached. But that's the establishment that two individuals can build when they're trying to develop trust. And here's the thing about trust. Trust is like a building. You start with the ground, basement, or whatever it is. You build that foundation. You build second floor, third floor, fifth floor, until you have this magnificent edifice. And then one day, you find a hairline crack in the foundation of that edifice. And you know what happens to that building? It starts to weaken. A storm comes by and that building collapses. Now you're left with rubble. I talked about, I think it was the week prior to last week, about not destroying bridges. So in the event that I want to cross back on that bridge is in good repair. Some of y'all want to destroy bridges and then wonder why, when you need something, the people that know you the best are unwilling to help you. This is where the trust comes in with relationships. Because some people's best friends, shout out to BGS, you'll know what I'm talking about. Some people's best friends are their exes. Why? Because they know them well enough. They can rely on them and say, hey, look, what do you think I should do? And they get the truth. They get the unfiltered, unfettered truth, because that person has nothing to lose, nothing to gain. They're just a sounding board. They say, hey, look, what is it that you think I'm attracted to that always keeps me dealing with a specific type of person, whether it's male or female. And they'll say, hey, look, I look at me, I've seen a couple of the people that you, and I know a couple of the people that you dealt with. This is what you like. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just what you like. So if you want to change the outcomes that you're getting in your romantic relationships, you have to develop a different process by which you're selecting mates. So the things that you used to use, the criteria and the barometers you used to use, you got to get rid of them because you can't trust them anymore. They've always led you astray. They always led you to some muck as opposed to a well-paved road that's going to lead to some type of success, certainly more than what you've had recently. But a lot of people don't develop this until they get older. This is why you hear the people talk about, well, I'm happy single. No, you're not. How you going to tell me I'm not happy single? Because every night on Friday nights, I see you at happy hour. Happy hour ain't happy hour is not there by people who are happy. The reason why they call it happy is because you're sitting there drinking and you feel relaxed. You happy. Shoot. Most married people at 5, 6 o'clock, or people in solid relationships, guess what they doing? They going out, getting ready to get dressed up and have dinner with each other. That's where they're happy. They ain't happy sitting at a bar with some chicken wings and some popcorn and some salty ass peanuts.
Chicken wings and popcorn. A horrible combination.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying people
I
eat that
know,
together.
I know.
But you know, they're not happy. They're searching for happiness in the bottom of some beverage. As if drinking spirits is gonna make you happy. No, drinking spirits is gonna make you a potential candidate for a one-night stand. And then I'm not even gonna go that route. It's gonna make you regretful of the one-night stand you had, and he or she ain't called you back. They done ghosted you. This is something we was talking about last week. All of a sudden now you talk about you can't trust men or you can't trust women and yada. No, they're not the problem. You are. You're the common denominator in everything you do. Because you're not changing, the numerator usually end up on top.
See, and we always talk about this and how we do. When you pull in 7, 8 hour shifts out at bars, 9 hours, shit ain't cool. It's not cool. And I keep preaching this to a maximum that sometimes you gotta Machiavelli. You got to disappear. You got to come back. You got to take a few months off. You gotta restore, rebrand yourself. Some of y'all old asses is out every weekend at every event, posting pictures, making posts about relationships, this and that. Sit your ass down somewhere, come up with a plan, and come back better when you step out. Yeah, you trying to hit up every event, want to be in every picture and all that. You know what people say who look at these pictures? Oh, that ain't raggedy ass go again, or whatever the case. People got stuff on their mind who ain't out every time and they see it. Because remember, when you post it, it's for everybody to say, "Hey, look at me. I'm out again. I'm out again. I'm enjoying myself again." Really? Does that really work for that time being? Then when you come home on that, I don't know. I'm not even gonna take shots at that, but more than likely you balled up in that proverbial fetal position, alone, sad, waiting for the next event. You can't do it all. You don't want to be seen as that person that's always dancing in videos, always out. You see where that got your homeboy, right? Because you're chasing for attention, but you don't even know it. What you're saying is, I just want I'm just out having a good time. I'm enjoying myself. Really? Is that really what you want to do? So just think about that. It's just too many people who out there they're trying to mask that they're having this excellent time by being in every picture, every video. Then they go home and they're in the fetal position because n- nothing changed from week to week. So we always talk about you keep doing what you're doing, getting the same results. That's the definition of insanity. So
Mm-hmm.
some of y'all crazy go outers, y'all dealing with insanity because y'all looking for something different. But excuse my language, how the fuck could you get something different when you're going out and you're seeing the same ass people every time? What kinetic energy does that bring you to say, damn, there go his snagger tooth ass again? Ain't got no teeth. He out. He in my face, or whatever the case, or vice versa. For guys, like, yeah, they're her raggedy, begging ass, ain't got no money, looking for somebody to buy drinks. How does that charge you? How does that fuel you to say, man, I'm stepping out tonight? Wake up, people. Wake up with your raggedy ass.
Yeah. Sometimes the change of location is just what people need. And sometimes the change of location can help you see things that you otherwise wouldn't see. Case in point, yesterday, went down to the corner store and there was some female who was, don't ask me how she was doing it. I just happened to catch the tail end of it. She was playing dice with two miniature pieces of Twix, I think. Now, I'm walking into the door and they're recording, the proprietors of the store recording, and I'm trying to figure out what exactly is going on. And he was just saying, now she's playing dice. I'm like, with candy bars? I was like, all right. Went in there, picked up, I know, picked up my wings because I was having some pizza. But yeah.
I ain't go.
No, 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 no,
I
no.
know we had a good laughter on the last clip.
Um, but the difference, I allow myself to eat that. But what I've done is I limited the portions of what I've done, of what I've consumed. So as opposed to eating the whole pizza, I only ate half the pizza, and they were on sale at Tops. Uh, I don't know if it's considered a large or medium, but I had half of that pizza, dropped some pepperoni, some turkey pepperonis on it, and it was just cheese and 5 wings. That's all the food I had for the day. That's all the food I had for the day. So I picked up the wings, came home. This is probably about, because it was just before the Dallas game, because they were in that horrific rain delay. So I think
Yeah.
this is about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Ate that, threw down a can of Loganberry, and I think I maybe had a bowl of Captain Crunch, and that was it. Went to sleep, woke up about 12:30, maybe 1 o'clock, and I'm just now turned on the radio, and I'm now hearing the end of the game. I'm like, is this a clip or is this a rebroadcast? I'm just waking up and I'm not sure, and I'm like, they're just now finishing the game. I said, this is crazy. So today, I'm jogging out to the falls, and that same female that was tripping at the store is walking down the street, tripping the same way. Now, clearly, she has some mental issues. But the reason why I say that location can change your perspective on things is because while I was running, I said to myself, I said, you know what? I'm glad I am mentally intact because I could always be. Pause. What are you doing? You want to take over the show? I said, because I could always be in the situation that she's in. And I think sometimes we take for granted our mental faculties being in the condition that they are, and we don't realize that we could very easily suffer a setback. And then, you know, if you don't have the family structure around that can help us out, we could be in a bad way. We could really be in a bad way. And I could be that individual that somebody else might see. Come on, boy, you got to get down. I'm sorry. You got to get down. Could very easily be that individual that somebody else is talking about having a mental breakdown. So, be grateful that you have what you have in terms of your mental acumen. Be glad that you have a network of people who, if you need to rely on when things get bad, you can call. You might need somebody to talk you down off the ledge. Just say, hey, look, it ain't that bad. Yeah, I know you're going through it. Because you could, I mean, let's face it, we're looking at the way relationships dissolve now. You might need somebody to rely on. I've 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 been in situations where I was a person that somebody needed to rely on. It was good to be that stabilizing force. You know, whether it's because I had the space necessary for that person to move in and transition and then springboard into something else which that individual did, or for whatever reason. It's always good to be in the position to help, and it's even better when you're in the position to be helped. And something I mentioned earlier that some people don't want to accept the help. Well, damn, how can you be trusted to do the right thing if you don't do the right thing? Whether that's work relationships, interpersonal relationships, familiar relationships, or just someone you see in the street. And I don't know if I told the story. This is probably a little over a month ago. I think the gentleman's name was Dan, an Asian gentleman, blind. I'm walking up 10th Street. I'm going to Tops, I think it was. And I see him crossing at the middle of the block. Now, from what I know and understand of blind people, they never cross there. One, because of the curb. So it's always difficult to negotiate curbs because of the 3 or 4 inches, and you don't know where you are. Seeing this, I walked up to the individual and I introduced myself before anything. I said, sir, my name is Herbert. I said, where are you going? He said, I want to go to the bus station. I said, okay, well, you're heading in the wrong direction. I said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around, and if you don't know, I'm going to give you some etiquette on how to deal with somebody that's blind. You don't touch them. You can see them, they can't see you, so they don't know who you are. I said, I'm going to come around to your left side. He says, well, come around to my right side. And that's what I did. Because he's leading, because while I'm leading him, I'm listening to him as to how he wants to be dealt with. Right there, we're establishing a trust that I'm going to do what he says and he's going to follow my lead. It took us about 5 minutes for me to walk him about 400 yards, maybe, to get him directed to the bus station. Now, this is an occurrence between two people who don't know anything about the other. Turned out he had a medical mishap that had rendered him almost unable to get around. He's originally from China, tall gentleman. He had to be about 6'2", maybe 6'3", about 240, 250, so fair sized man. And it was a privilege to me, not pleasure. It was a privilege for me to be able to be in service to somebody else who was vulnerable. And I did that. It left me feeling like I had accomplished something that day. And I didn't have to do anything the rest of the day. I said, you know what? I said, there's somebody who required some assistance, who accepted the assistance and went on about his day. Now I don't know what happened to the man um, after our interaction, but hopefully he got to where he was going because the his phone that he was using, the maps were off, so that's why he was disoriented. But that kind of trust building that happened between two strangers sometimes is missing among people, among friends, among family members, because we've grown distrustful of each other because of one situation that happened. Because people don't learn how to rebuild that trust. And damn it, there was a situation I had that I printed out. Let me see if I can find it. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, all of that was a great example of trust. Just two people connecting as strangers and building, and you're talking about the blind and making them feel comfortable. Trust is about comfortability. Uh, if you're not comfortable, you don't trust that person. Um, for example, some people will be okay uh, with you being in their household, uh, and they're totally okay compared to the next person. They're like, I don't really want to leave them alone. It's about people say a vibe or a aura about a person that makes them feel that way. And I think that's the same way with strangers. People can get a vibe and they can kind of feel like something don't feel right, especially when you well connected to a situation. And I can say that today. I was like, when I was leaving the cafeteria, I said something seemed off. Something ain't right. Something is going on. And sure enough, my vibe was right. So when I talked to the individuals, I said, I already knew. I just felt it. It's like, how did you feel it? I said, I just felt it. I just knew that something seemed off. So sometimes when you individuals that got a connection, they know when you're off. You know when they're off. And some certain things just don't feel right. You gotta trust the process, but you also have to trust your instincts, your heart, that vibe. And those are the things that kind of propel whatever way it's gonna go. So trust. I already know. Like when you're well connected with people, certain individuals, you can kind of tell. Like, oh, today ain't a good day. Something seems off. Trust that feeling. Trust that vibe. And even when you're dealing with people that you don't know, make sure that you always caring, concerning, and putting your best foot forward to, especially if it's someone that is kind of defenseless and you know that they need that extra assistance. Always bring the best representative of you out in those situations. But on the other half, you have people that they take advantage of that shit. Sick individuals. For me, I always say I don't want to take advantage of somebody who can't help themselves. Uh, but we have a lot of people that do it because we're in a different time now. Whether they do it physically, they'll try to do it so viral through the internet or whatever the case is. We always got to be on alert status. So I think that's part of the the broken down part of the trust system, because it's not always face to face. We dealing with virtual communication, as are we on this show tonight, that we're able to do that, trying to present the positive element, but also there's also the negative aspect of people who take advantage of that, and they pry on certain individuals, kids and the elderly, and that's unfortunate. But we have people that break that trust barrier
Mm-hmm.
down.
Yep. All right. I found the. I don't know if this is fabricated. I don't know if it's real, but it strikes at the heart of what we're talking about. This comes from AMO Mama Nostalgia. So I'm not sure how to pronounce it, so I don't want to butcher it, so I'll spell it out for you. This is how it reads. So my husband, kids, and I moved to a city with no money and no plan. And we just showed up at my sister's place. She was shocked, but obviously she let us stay. She didn't have much choice. But here's the issue. She has two cats and my husband's allergic. It's a nightmare. Last night while she was sleeping, I just let the cats outside during the thunderstorm. They got scared and ran off, just like I hoped. But now my sister's losing her mind, putting up missing postal signs and searching everywhere. I can't have those cats in the house again. My husband's health comes first. They're just animals, and my husband is a human being. I'm not letting some pets ruin everything for us. Any clever ideas on how to make sure the cats don't come back?
Wow.
Now, like I said, I don't know if it's fabricated. I don't know if it was just um written to gain likes and attractions, but let's take some elements of this. She trusted that even though they were destitute, that if she showed up at her sister's place, she's gonna let him in. Most people don't have family members that they can trust like that. Two, the deceitfulness in which the sister operated under required the sister to have an element of trust into her that she would not do anything in her home to make her distrustful of her and regretful that she allowed her to stay there. Three, and this is something that a lot of people probably won't understand, probably won't get. Those pets had trust in that human that they were going to be taken care of. Now I know people say, just like the woman said, they're just cats, they're just animals. My husband's health matters more. To whom? I guarantee you that if you asked her sister if the animals had to stay or her brother-in-law had to go, I guarantee you she'd chose those pets over the brother-in-law. Why? Because she didn't choose to marry that man. She chose to take those pets in. And that's what people don't understand about trust and how it plays out. A lot of people will assume that no, there's no way in the world that somebody would choose pets over a person. Well, there's some people that would think, hey, there's no way in the world that a person would be chosen over pets. I'm not here to tell you what's right. I'm not here to tell you what's wrong. I'm just here to tell you that sometimes when we think trust is going to work, it is shattered. And that's the thin line that will destroy a building when that foundation of trust is ruined. No one, and this is why I'm particular about my furniture, no one ever thinks that their home is going to be violated in such a manner that is so vile that it borders on being just the absolute worst kind of person that the earth could create.
Wow.
I read that. I said, yo, I said, whoo. I just said, whoo. Because imagine if she ever finds, like I said, if this whatever's the skin or not, just imagine if the sister finds out. How do you think that's gonna play out? You think somebody might catch hands, catch feet, be put out on the street like those cats were? Trust is a funny thing. It takes a lifetime, a long time to build, and only an instant to destroy.
And I think the bigger thing it is with that is somebody could put something out there and you just never you just never know, like that person feels for cats and all that. So you kind of manipulated the situation because you probably already know. When I say KYP, you already know. Oh, she's wild about her animals or whatever. That's her life or whatever. Especially it could be somebody who don't have any kids. So those are
Mhm.
their babies. Uh, and you come in and your whole plot is, well, we don't got nowhere to stay. My husband is allergic to this, so I got to find a way to get these cats out there. That deception right there is there's a no-win situation because now, yeah, I kind of infiltrated her home and made her miserable because her cats are gone. And trust me, I understand that being a part of that process of somebody losing an animal and thought they were gone. It's not a great feeling.
Yeah.
It's not a great feeling at all. But I don't think people understand the effects of that. That when people have pets, or whatever, that's a family member to them. They can't communicate like that. Well, they communicate in their own way, but that's and those are like long relationships. Could be 10, 12, 13 years that you have, and they have their ways of doing things, their patterns, just like an adult. So to think and not have any empathy, oh, it's just a dog. Oh, it's just a cat. Oh, it's just a bird. Whatever. Let's say you got to gauge the person or your personnel and say, man, that meant a lot to them. They're hurt. They're broken down and they're sad behind it. It's just this just the way it is, people. You can't be one sided in this. You got to be kind of open minded when you come to the trust topic.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, I've put down, I've lost three. One got hit by a car, and one last year I put down, and then another one I had euthanized last year. So, and one of them was just, I don't know, throwing up here. So it's a funny thing how a lot of this stuff comes um full circle, because we don't know. We tend to think we do, but we literally we don't know where the next build for trust is going to start. I could walk in tomorrow at the job and meet somebody new. They're starting there. We just lost an employee who had been there less than 2 months. Um, there was an issue, and I'm not going to get into the issue, and that that individual is no longer there. So, you walk into a situation, a new situation, and immediately we are looking for people that we can build a rapport with, and that rapport is the trust factor. Can I trust this individual to be on time? Can I trust this individual to do their job? Can I trust this individual not to harm me? I mean, we don't necessarily think about these things all the time, but trust, those things are always in the back of our heads, if not in the forefront. How do I know this person is not going to harm me? Especially if the individual asking these questions are women, because for women, they're always heightened. Dave talked about um not knowing that something is there, but it's present. You just can't quantify it. For women, it's heightened and it's ultra heightened. You talk about the feeling. For women, it is magnified. That's why you often see women as fortune tellers, sayers. You never see men. Men just don't have that. Hey boy, men just lack that ability. They lack that foresight, and they can't do it. So those are the things that come along with that whole process, is the ability to gauge an individual. Is that vibe right? That vibe ain't right. That's why women say, he was okay at first, and then I just the vibes all of a sudden just became off, because we're fields of energy. It's like taking the old science experiment. We're taking an iron and putting it into the middle of some iron filings, and they all gather around. Sometimes they repel, and people will say, you know what? It was all right at first, and then all of a sudden the vibe just switched. Like David said, I got a feeling, and all of a sudden now I don't want to be around him anymore. And they say, well, it turns out that this individual was a convicted felon. He had some charges that were pending against him. Nobody knew about him. They say, well, how the hell did he get hired? Slipped through the cracks. And all of a sudden now people have been harmed. Some people may have been harmed seriously. It happens. So that's why trust really becomes the cornerstone of everything we do. You get in your car, you turn the ignition, you trust the engine's gonna turn over. You put your foot on the brake, you trust the brake's gonna work. Just imagine how our everyday lives would be impacted if simple things like that just didn't function. Just imagine if you went to turn on the light switch and the power was out. Just imagine if you were trying to go to the gas station. We had the longshoreman strike and there was no gas. Our very society that we rely on would just crumble. Next thing you know, you're sitting in the house boarded up, wondering if somebody's gonna come by and try and jack you. So much of what we do as humans and the world and society is predicated on trust. We trust that this infrastructure, this empire, that we call the United States of America, is going to continue to roll. What happens when it doesn't? What happens when the money dries up? Uh, People aren't as generous and things don't work as well. It's multi-layered, people. It really is.
It is. I mean, this subject is so deep that you know we want more participation and all that stuff, and I know it's a lot of stuff going on, especially when you think of guys, baseball, football on,
Oh
and
yeah.
you're like, oh, I'm not gonna listen to any podcast or anything like that. But we also understand that this is a mechanism of communication. So you're gonna get a snippet or of it all, anyways. So it's what you take with it. But best believe trust is everything in a relationship. Uh, and the comfort level of how you move. You never want to be like a one eye, batted eyebrow at every interaction you have with somebody. You never want to be in that position. You want to be free. You want to say, man, when I'm around this person, it's everything. And it doesn't mean intimate, it could be family. Again, work relationship, everything is just clicking. So we have to understand that. We have to move forward and think about that because a lot of times we kind of we always sweep things under the rug and think, all right, on to the next job. Then eventually you say, damn, I can't get along no matter where I go. And that's when you probably have to start looking at yourself like, damn, what am I doing? I done went to jobs and I got referred by friends who said, "Oh, this spot's sweet. I've been here 3 years, 5 years, 7 years." And then you go somewhere you can't. You can't manage. Problem's probably you. You have to do some introspective, some perspectives to look at yourself. But nobody really want to look at themselves. They want to take a little pool of people and say, "Oh, I get along with them. It's not me." But two those are different situations. Yeah. Trust this conversation probably will never go away because it's one of the key essential points to every relationship. Your trust in individuals. So for people, no matter how many groups you have, what you got going on, community events, and all that stuff, there has to be a trust factor. I can look back at my hometown when they had the East Falls reunion and all that stuff, and things is going well. And then all of a sudden, there's a death
Mm-hmm.
in the thing. Where did it break down? What happened? And these situations happen frequently. And I think that's what we have to look at. We have to tie small conversations into big conversations, like, because everything starts small.
Mm-hmm.
And like, where did the breakdown happen that people feel comfortable coming in a peaceful environment and taking away many people's peace
Yep.
and kind of destroying them and bringing trauma to their lives? There's a lot of work to do. All right, I'm gonna pass it. Just for scroll.
No, and that was the reference that I made earlier in the show with your sister's party. Everybody came to enjoy. Nobody came there to disrupt the fabric of peace. So this is why a lot of people, when it comes to New Year's and parties, they rather go to the intimate setting of a friend's house because they can trust that even though there are going to be some people there who might have had too much to drink, no one is going to be harmed. One of the reasons why I started going to Canada as much as I did when I partied, I said, look, I don't have to worry about any knuckleheads over here. I don't have to worry about, which turned out to be kind of erroneous. I don't have to worry about anybody shooting up a club here. No, lo and behold, uh, nightclub called Roxy's in Hamilton, Ontario. Some food in the entrance. Pop, 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 pop. We're like, oh shit. Let's get the fuck up out of here. That trust was shattered. And that spot was never the same because we never I mean, we thought about Canada, you know, like we do our own homes. Ain't nothing going in here that we need to be concerned about. Well, we need to be concerned about lead flying that night. And my man almost left me because people were getting the hell up out of there. So he's in the car getting ready to ride. And I'm naked in the window like, yo, let me in this motherfucker. I want to get up out of here. And no sooner than we got out of the parking lot, OPP was on site. We talking 2 minutes. They were rolling and they locked that whole place down. Nobody got out of there. We on the QEW coming back. And I'm texting my homegirl. I'm like, you guys okay? She said, "Yeah, where you guys at?" We're like, "We almost home." She said, "What?"
Hmm.
She said, "We're still here." This is probably about a half an hour, 45 minutes later. Because for us, I think Hamilton's like a 40-minute drive, depending on how fast you're driving. And we were just outside of Niagara Falls, crossing the QE to the 420. We was like, man, we glad we got up out of there because people were getting home to like 5, 6 o'clock in the morning because they was taking witness statements. It was crazy, but nonetheless, that's just an element of trust that we had. That when we went out there wasn't going to be anything that jumped off, and if it did, it wasn't going to be between among us. We don't know anybody there, so I mean, we you come to understand how fragile trust can be when it's taken away, and when it is, what do you do? Where do you turn? And how do you start to rebuild that trust in whatever it is? I mean, case in point, we hear about the incidents at school with I want to phrase this so it doesn't um trigger any algorithms. We know how fragile things can be when somebody um disrupts the school environment with weapons. That school is never the same. Those students' lives are negatively impacted to the point where who knows how much therapy it will take for them just to actually feel okay going in a building. We're talking about going grocery shopping, going to a mall, all of those things. That trust is forever shattered for that person. So, we might be trying to tell a person to get out and they say, hey, look, I don't feel any safer, or this is the safest place I feel is in my home. What do you do for them? How do you help them?
Yeah, that unsafety rule is critical, and you think about those situations where people don't feel safe, and it's hard to deal with because you may say, "Oh, we good," but just never know what's in the back of somebody else's mind. And we think about what came to my head during that thought is that Tops situation in Buffalo,
Mm-hmm.
that an individual had a plan. That's why you have to take things serious. Was in the neighborhood, in the hood, and plotted, and it's crazy. It's crazy. You can't take any of this for granted. That's why I'm at that age. I'm leery. I don't do certain places. I don't want to be at certain spots. I like the home environment at somebody's house or whatever. Somebody cut up, you whoop their ass, and then they call a cab for it. Simple as
Yeah, yeah,
that.
yeah. It's pretty easy to deal with. Yo, you got to go. What? What?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yo, you got to go. Yeah, it's pretty easy to deal with.
I just don't. I don't see the value of going somewhere spending mad money on watered down drinks and dealing with
Ah,
other individuals that come in that you have no reference of kind of control factor with them. You don't know them and they come in. So you automatically bump head. People bump heads. And I just don't see the value in it. Some people do. "Oh, I like to have music." I guess you just want to have music because you see the same people over and over. Maybe one or two. You may see a new guy you ain't seen. Okay, I'll give you all the credit. I'll say three. You may see three guys you never see, and three women you never see. but the numbers, the percentages don't play in your favor. To say I'm gonna be the one. Damn, she look good.
Yeah.
She gonna give me some rhythm. It don't play in your percentages because more than likely it's about who gonna buy the drinks or buy her something to eat, and vice versa. But we just gotta do better as individuals, like far as what we put ourselves into. And it's not always about violence. It's about locus of control with people that you deal with. Because sometimes it could be somebody from an intimate environment. Y'all connect, shit. Y'all get together, and it's history. Like, damn, remember that we came over here at a such and such birthday party, and y'all. That's how y'all got together
Mm-hmm.
because that was a trusting environment. We have to put ourselves in more trusted environments for success. Just can't say, "Oh, this popping tonight. I want to be there." Do you really trust that situation? Do you have any locus of control to say, "Shit, we know it's gonna be a fight. We know shit gonna break out." I can say this every day I go to work now. I know it's gonna be a fight
Yeah.
because I think the more people you're in an environment, you lose control. The less people, you probably have more control because people are more connected. But when you start adding more people to it, and even when you think school situations, that means probably the less control you have because there's
Yeah.
people coming in that you have no relationships with. And so that's the importance of it. We hitting a lot of topics, but the one thing I want y'all to know about the trust factor, we gonna get out of here, get some closing comments, and then we gonna build on the next show. Hurt, what you got for him? Closing comments.
You- Uh, trust is very, very fragile. You have a lot of people who they're not trusting of themselves. That's number one. So, they're always questioning whether what they're doing is right. That's because they have very limited success with being able to trust themselves in their decision making because most of what they have in terms of the decision making in the foundation has led to bad results. And that's understandable. So I'm going to close with this. You know, spend more time building trust, developing the mechanisms to one, become trustworthy. Because if you as an individual can become trustworthy, it'll make it easier, or it certainly should make it easier to trust someone else. Because if you come to an individual with open hands and you're being honest, an individual will have no reason to distrust you because you're open. And of course, as always, growth. Jeez, I'm tired. Uh I can't even remember.
Build a brick, take a brick away.
Growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time. And as always, like I just said, are you taking a brick? Are you putting a brick in the wall? Or are you taking one out of the wall of conversation?
All right, appreciate it. For me, growth, understanding, trust is about building capacity, having opportunities to interact and grow together. Nothing happens overnight. Certain situations bring people to trust and care for each other. You just got to be open minded and be kind of guarded, but at a sense open-minded, like I said, for progression. So be mindful of situations you get into. Understand KYP, know your personnel, and stay alert. And that's not all, but those are key factors into being able to break down these dynamics because trust has so many variables, but I think the key thing is knowing who you are and what you do and what you believe in will help you escape any negativity or whatever the case is. So with that said, trust. What's the title? What's the title of the whole thing?
Trust factor.
The trust factor. The trust factor. A lot of factors in the trust. But get your situation down in place. Know who you are, and you'll be willing to take on any. You'll be ready. You'll be ready to battle any factors that stand in the way. But oftentimes we don't. But that's for a different subject, different night. We don't. We always go back to it all. So this is not the end of this conversation. If you're listening and you got a conversation or subject matter you want to talk about, please inbox us so we can talk about it. We talk about it at great lengths and give personal experiences. Uh, we go on and on. We have panel members come in, but again, trust. Trust in us, trust in yourself, trust in things that you believe in. Uh, you got to stay consistent with that. And when you have consistency, nothing beats that. That breaks down resistancy, consistency. And that's where trust is formed, though, mainly being consistent in who you are. With that said, we out. On to the next one. Everybody have a great week. Stay tuned for the clips. Whatever else coming out of the counselor's corner. All right, good people. Appreciate you all. Love you all. Peace. We out.
Yeah.